Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Unversed podcast. Danny here, and today I'm going to be talking about The Breaker. So, The Breaker is a manhwa. To my surprise, looks like it has physical volumes. And here's a weird thing: it's translated in 6 different languages, none of them English. It's so weird. It reminds me of how Beelzebub and Makenki are also translated in other languages except for English. I believe Beelzebub anime is dubbed in English, but not the manga is not translated. So that's pretty weird. But regardless, another surprise for me was this manhwa. Looking through the wiki real quick just to understand what I have to do after I finish this was. Wait a minute, this is being serialized in a magazine. Wow, I didn't know. I don't know much about the manhwa world other than the ones I mainly read are from Line, right? Webtoons, I believe it is, which are basically just manhwas from blog sites like Tower of God started on a blog site. I'm pretty sure Noblest did as well, and Girl the Wilds. So yeah, I figured it was just a bunch of like web comics. That's what manhwas were. Lookism as well is another example. So that was caught me by surprise that there is a big enough fan base for it to be like that, which makes me believe, yeah, it makes sense why Tower of God's not popular as it should be, as it deserves to be, because it's a web comic, whereas The Breaker. I posted like, oh yeah, I'm going to read this next. And I've had some people say, hey, yeah, I've checked that out. That's really good. It's like, wow, people actually know manhwa. But it's because it's serialized, so therefore it's probably more popular. Like the only exception really is the, what's it called? The God of High School, I think it is. That's like the pillar basically of webtoons from what I hear. And yeah, so The Breaker is actually Part 1. It is very webcomic manhwa-like, with Tower of God, for example, where it says it's pretty much Season 1, right? And that means basically like the first major arc of the story, like the first good chunk of the story. It's only, 70-ish chapters, 72 chapters, which when I was reading it, I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's like we're getting pretty deep into the lore, where we're getting in depth of how this world works. And I'm almost done reading it. And then come to find out, oh, that's why I've been seeing that other one. It's only Part 1. Part 2 is The Breaker New Waves, which last I checked is over, and that has 200 chapters. So I will be reading that next, just to continue on to the story. But yeah, for pretty much, I guess, setup for the real manhwa, which would be Breaker New Waves. Not bad. I do have some complaints, especially with the main character. He is a high school kid who is being bullied, right? He doesn't know why. It's just these guys are just picking on him. And he's getting tired of it. They're beating him up for money. And that's pretty much what we're given of our character. There's really not a lot of information that we kind of get, like stuff I really want to know. An example is, anyways, so our main character, it sucks. He's having a hard life. It's even harder because when he gets home, I think they said his dad died, and it's just him and his mom, but his mom works late night shifts. So she's never home when he's there. So he lives by himself. It's the cliche thing where like, well, here's a note on the table with some cash. Hey, there's some food in the fridge. Eat that. And if you're still hungry, here's some cash. So yeah, he has a sad life. And also because he's being bullied, he is pretending not to know his best friend, like his childhood friend, I guess, who is like, I guess the most popular girl in the school. Like one of the bullies said like, she's like the hottest girl in 10th grade. And it's unclear. I guess it's one of those things where everybody's saying like, oh, is that your girlfriend? You're going to have your girlfriend fight your battles, this and that or whatever. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. He never really says anything about it. Doesn't deny that that's his girlfriend, or says like, oh, actually, yeah, that is my girlfriend. And she never really says anything about it either. But I don't think she was ever in a situation where somebody just told that to her face or she heard it. So I don't know. It's just kind of up there. And like, he's like, yeah, they're just friends since like elementary school. So it's like, okay, there's really nothing else to really track onto that. But I always felt it was a little weird because we barely kind of saw her in this manhwa, and a bunch of the cover pages, she was there, and mainly the cover pages had all like the waifus of this series, right? Because we get introduced to two more characters that are also the ladies, and they're on the covers as well. Just typical manhwa stuff. Yeah, so he's being bullied, this and that. While he was being bullied in the first chapter, we're introduced to another main character who ends up becoming a teacher at the school. And I did not know where this manhwa was going to be going, honestly. It pulls... Oh gosh, I had it on the tip of my tongue the other day. It pulls some crazy stuff that I wasn't expecting. As far as like the scale that goes on, it's a battle manhwa. Excuse me. Excuse me. And yeah, so the kid's being bullied and he wants to learn how to fight. He's walking around downtown, and he sees the teacher drunk. And he's getting beaten up by just some, random thugs, and he pulls out some martial arts techniques, whoops them all. And there's also like a phone call prior to that this guy gets, and it's just like, oh, he's undercover. He's just there temporary. He's only going to be there a month, and like there's actually some other stuff going down, and yeah, so it's like, okay, so he's just going to train the kid to fight. And we'll just see where it goes from there. No, it goes into this whole other thing, which I was like, okay, it was a little abrupt for it to just like, boom, like we're in this world where like martial arts is just this monstrous power, right? To the point where they explained that the government does not get involved with the martial arts world as long as the martial arts world stays away from the normal world. And I was like, yo, what are we talking about right now? We're really hopping into this pretty crazy, huh? Okay. I can see where that's going. And oh gosh, like it was on the tip of my tongue that I think I've read it before. Let me just look at the manga list. But yeah, so it's just this crazy world where like martial arts is the king, right? And another thing that doesn't make sense is that at the end, I'm just gonna jump ahead. The end of our main character, like his key, right, gets disrupted or whatever, it gets destroyed, and basically they say like, oh, you can't practice martial arts anymore. And I'm like, what? Like the whole motive, the whole point of this manhwa was just like, yeah, the martial arts world is there for a reason, because you're like, we've seen examples with the main character losing his cool, getting angry, just throwing full force, nearly like he could have killed people basically. And the moral is just like, yeah, no, these guys can't live in the normal world. They're just too strong. But that's because they're using ki, from what I understand, right? And then seeing them just say, oh, that's pretty much just martial arts is ki. Like that was kind of weird. I think what could have been interesting is to see like the tail end of this manhwa be a good maybe time skip. I was expecting a time skip for sure because of what happens at the final arc, and just see our main character, keyless but still mastering martial arts and still whooping people with ki. I think that could have been interesting, But yeah, so one of my problems is our main character and just how drastic of a change he gets, right? So when we first see him, he's sad, depressed, he can't fight back, doesn't know what to do. He talks to this teacher who's, part of this martial arts world, and basically he tells him, like, hey, yeah, you need courage. Like, sure, you could be strong, but if you don't have courage, there's no point in doing any of this, right? And that's pretty much the whole mindset our main character has, is like, I need to be courageous so that way I have the strength to protect the people I care about. And then after a certain arc, like once he gets like he gets like a couple techniques mastered, and he just goes straight into a 180, like not even the same character. And that kind of tripped me out, because now he's like the super positive, energetic person. And it could be that this is who he was the whole time before he was getting bullied, right? But maybe when his dad was around, his mom wasn't always leaving him by himself. But man, it was really drastic, And sure, like we saw him. It's weird. Like the fact that he knew he had strength to like actual like just pure strength to actually take down these bullies without any training. He was very angry initially, and then losing his cool, needed help from other people, like stopping him before he literally kills these people with his fist. And they, it's just pure anger. We only get really like one scene where he is courageous, where he's standing up to protect somebody. But then after that, it scales right up to just like, I'm a super positive guy. I've learned my lesson. I'm confident. Like, whoa, where did all this come from? It really threw me off guard. And, like just the fact that it changes personality so much too, to where like he's talking differently, he's interacting with characters differently. I didn't know how to feel about it. I still don't know how I feel about it. It's just kind of weird. And again, maybe this is just who he was before the bullying, and now that he's like, yeah, like fuck these bullies, I'm just gonna be me. Maybe he's fine. Who knows? But other than that, man, does this manhwa have a very typical enter the rival of our main character. Like, oh, here's this prodigy, like he was a genius since birth. He's pretty much running his clan, and though he's still inexperienced in that side, his martial arts prowess is, pretty damn good. And he ends up fighting this kid because the main character's teacher, who becomes his master in the martial arts, he's known as the Nine Dragon. Was it? These Korean names get so confusing sometimes. The Nine Arts Dragon Master or something along those lines. And basically, he's wanted in the martial arts world because he broke laws, this and that. And so the main character confronts this kid, this prodigy, and he was like, "Oh, you're using ki, this and that. Oh, you almost killed that kid. I have to stop you. I have to fight you, put you down." I don't know about kill him, but like just, stop him or take him away. And that's when, this was like still the early stages of when he's angry and still trying to get a grasp of being a courageous person. And also like one of those weird things where he's like, no, just fight me. Like, let's just fight. And it's like, what? Anyway, so like they fight, and literally this prodigy is just like, okay, typical shonen thing right here. If you can hit me once, I'll admit defeat. I'll walk away. And then, of course, the main character, I don't know, like, it's like he changes as a character, because then he says, for a follow-up, I'll determine whether or not I lose or not. I'm going to keep on fighting no matter what happens. Paraphrasing, of course, but that's basically what he said. And so, yeah, they fight. This prodigy's getting nervous. He's like, how is he still getting up? This is illogical. He can flashbacks. His teacher's just like, oh, but yeah, remember, spirit is a thing. And he's like, that's not real. That's not logical. This and that. So, just cliche. Here comes the rival. They're gonna fight. He's whooping the main character's ass, but he's still afraid. And it's like, oh, he actually got a hit in me. I respect that. What? He's only been doing martial arts for a month? Impossible. Just classic stuff. I had a real kick out of that. Art style is great. There's very different You could say there are categories to how you do your art style for fighting manhwas and mangas, and this one definitely picks one where there's a lot of shading. Well, not shade. Well, yeah, to be fair, a lot of shading, a lot of ink, which is fine. Especially when they get into these high, crazy fights. Um, Other than that, I mean, I don't really want to get too in depth into it, but great cast. I think there was some stuff I didn't expect at the end. And I am kind of looking forward to the waves. Was it the Breaker New Waves? Mainly because I just want to see what our main character is going to do now. Because he has this obstacle in his life now. He needs to find his master. And now he's literally about to enter this whole new world he knows nothing about. The whole time there's like these fights nonstop, constantly every other arc or so that's happening. And our main character is just like, I'm just trying to play catch up. Like, what is this? What's that term? Who are these people? Yeah, so all that's going on. And I guess I also should mention, weak physical constitution our main character has. And then one of the martial arts characters, I forget her name, Shion, I think it is. She's like, well, I have this medicine ball that you can eat that'll give you the power that you want to protect people. And he eats it, and she calls the master, and she's like, yeah, so remember that thing? What if a normal person ate it? And he was like, are you kidding me? Like, they would die. And he's like, yeah, well, the kid ate it because I told him like he could use it. And he's like, what? So he runs over there and tries to save him, absorbing ki, this and that, and then that pretty much makes this young kid enter the martial arts world because now he has the power to control ki and use it in a fight. So there is that aspect. Art style is pretty cool. Man, like the scans that I read were pretty old. It was that era of like it sort of has like a blurry gain to it. This is scanned right out of the physical books, I think, because you can tell like the spread shots has that solid white bar in the middle, which splits the pages. But yeah, I think other than that, I definitely recommend reading it. Again, I think it is a good part one into what I think the real manga is going to be, which is New Waves. So that is what I'm going to be reading next, and hopefully get back to you guys on that soon. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Some of the martial arts techniques are cool. Some of it just gets ridiculous, right? Like the 9 Arts Master Dragon or whatever, like towards like the final arc, he ends up fighting this guy who looks like a Kuma with an eye patch. And like his power is like, was it the steel, the ironclad? And that like his body turns like metallic color and darkens, has a building thrown on him. He just stands up like it's nothing. And I was like, yeah, this is some crazy shit. Like this is that tier of like battle mangas, That's the type that's like when it wants to go over the top, it's going to go over the top. And you're going to either hate it or enjoy it. And I'm on the enjoying side. So that is that. That's pretty much all I have to say. Go check it out. I think it's pretty good. Like with that art style, the way it complements the fighting techniques is interesting. I think because of the art style, it really shapes how the fighting is going to be. So yeah, go check that out, guys. Main channel stuff coming real soon. Also look out for the YouTube channel. That's going to be a big one too. And you can follow us at Unversed Podcast anywhere you go to stay updated on that on social media. And you can email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com for any question, comments, concerns. Have you read this? What do you think? Are you a fan of manhwas? I think that's a big one I would like to know as well as the rest of the fam. Mainly because we read Tower of God, which is very underrated in our opinion. And that is all for today, guys. Thank you for listening. And as always, we will talk to you next time.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, hold up. I slay when I roll up. I wait until it's dark until I show up. You know what time of year it is. Anytime you hearing this, a 12 days of Christmas lyricist.
The bells jingle every time this year. Lawns fill up with light up reindeer, and life is made clear. We get together one time out of the year just to reminisce over yesteryear.
Yes, your ears, they don't deceive you. Dedicated servers with that Christmas redo remix. Got a gift, gotta give it cause you need this. Saint Nicholas ain't the only bearded Jesus.
Jesus, I know you see this, so please let me and them see into your kingdom. I mean, this the only time I like trees, so let's make it real bright in the city of trees. The Holy Trinity, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. That's triple the whiskey. I wish these days would last forever, but if they did, I'd have nothing to remember.
Pour me another glass of what's that? Eggnog? Hey dog, we all getting Christmas Day off ready. Snowfall heavy, auntie in my kitchen with my mom getting petty cause she on one. Awesome, Christmas in full effect. Ugly sweater, turtleneck. It's okay, we working it, we working it. The room fills with the scent of pine. It's like a scene from a sitcom set design.
The scenery is serene to me. The kids are weaselly, and yet I feel leisurely. Easily the best time. Let's dine and talk about life and how our lives wouldn't be without our wives. Plus the strength our friends provide. That's how we survive in these trying times. It's all about your tribe. Now let's vibe and have another plate or three. You're not finished eating until you can't breathe. Yeah, it's the holiday, so holla, holla, holla. Watch the snowflakes, falla, falla, falla. Baby Jesus getting gifts like a bala, bala, bala. Where's your mom's at? Kala, kala, kala. It's the holiday, so holla, holla, holla. Watch the snowflakes, falla, falla, falla. Baby Jesus getting gifts like a bala, bala, bala. Where's your mom's better? Kala, kala, kala. It's the holiday, so holla, holla, holla. J. Dipple.